You ever feel like the smallest thing can just break you? A critical email, a project that goes sideways, maybe just a bad night's sleep. And suddenly you're in this spiral of stress and doubt. It's like you're walking on eggshells with your own feelings. And here's the crazy part, it's not just you. I felt that way for years, and frankly, I was tired of it. So I ran a little experiment on myself. For 30 days, I tried 3 specific habits of the most resilient people on earth. And the person I was when I started? I barely recognize him now. It all came to a head about a month ago. Picture this, I'd poured weeks into this huge presentation. The night before the meeting, my boss sends an email. It wasn't even mean, just a casual, "Hey, have you thought about this other angle?" And that was it. That was the trigger. Immediately, that cold drop in my stomach. My mind just started screaming. He hates it. I've failed. All that work was for nothing. I'm going to get fired. It sounds so dramatic saying it now, but in that moment, it felt completely real. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid there, replaying that one email, convinced I was a total fraud. The next day, the presentation was fine. Just fine. But the emotional price I paid to get there was huge. I realized this was a pattern. Any little challenge would knock me completely off my feet. And that's what resilience is, right? It's the process of adapting when life throws things at you. I wasn't adapting. I was crumbling. I knew I didn't want to just survive these moments anymore, I wanted to meet them with some kind of strength. That's when I went down this rabbit hole of research and found that resilience isn't something you're born with. It's a skill. It's a muscle. So I decided to build it. I picked 3 simple, science-backed habits and I promised myself I'd practice them every single day for 30 days. The first habit was mindfulness through micropauses. Resilient people aren't all meditating on a mountaintop for hours. They just build these tiny moments of presence into their day. The science is actually pretty cool. When you're stressed, your brain's little alarm bell, it's called the amygdala, it just goes wild. But when you do something as simple as taking a deep breath, it activates the rational, thinking part of your brain and tells that alarm bell to quiet down. So my rule was simple, 3 times a day, stop, and take 3 deep breaths. That's it. Just focus on the feeling of breathing. The second habit was emotional labeling. This one's gonna sound a little weird at first, but stick with me. It's just the act of naming your feelings. Instead of just feeling that knot in my stomach, I had to pause and say to myself, I am feeling anxious right now. Studies show that just putting a name to the feeling can actually dial down its intensity. It moves the feeling from the reactive part of your brain to the language part, which gives you just enough space to not feel so overwhelmed. My goal was to catch any big emotion and just quietly name it. The third and final habit was acceptance and reframing. Resilient people don't ignore the bad stuff. They accept that it's part of life, and then they look for what it can teach them. So my rule was, anytime something went wrong, a mistake, a rejection, anything, I had to first just accept it. No judgment. And then I had to ask myself one question, what can I learn from this? This question, it shifts your brain out of threat mode and into this more curious, problem solver mode. So, that was the plan. 3 mindful pauses, label the big feelings, and reframe the setbacks. Sounded simple. But let me tell you, the first week was a rude awakening. The first few days were a mess. I kept forgetting the mindfulness pauses. I'd get to 8 p.m. and realize I hadn't done a single one. I had to set these alarms on my phone, and it just felt so forced. The alarm would go off, I'd take 3 breaths, but my mind would be a million miles away, already worrying about the next thing on my to-do list. Emotional labeling was even weirder. Day 2, a coworker was late for a meeting, and I felt that little spike of irritation. I stopped myself and thought, okay, label it. I am feeling annoyed. It felt so silly, like I was narrating my own life to an invisible audience. And it didn't make the feeling just disappear. If anything, it showed me how often I was getting irritated over nothing. It was like turning on a light in a room and realizing just how cluttered it was. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling impatient. I am feeling insecure. It was constant. But the reframing habit, that was the hardest. On day 4, I got some feedback on a report. It was constructive, but my old self heard, "You failed." I tried to force the question, what can I learn from this? But the answer just felt like a lie. I literally wrote down, I can learn to be more careful, but my gut was still screaming, I'm an idiot. By the end of that first week, I just felt like a fraud. And then, around day 9, something shifted. I was in the middle of this crazy morning, emails flying, deadlines everywhere, and I felt that hot, panicky feeling start to rise in my chest. But this time was different. Before I could even think, this little thought just popped into my head, I am feeling overwhelmed. I named it. And for the first time, it was like the name created this tiny bit of space between me and the feeling. It wasn't this tidal wave swallowing me whole anymore. It was just a feeling, and I was watching it. On instinct, I took a deep breath. Then another. And a third. It was the micropause, but it happened on its own. The panic didn't vanish, but it went from a 10 to maybe a 6. And that was the first time it hit me that maybe this wasn't just some silly game. I had a tool. And it worked. Later that week, I messed up. I sent an email with some sensitive info to the wrong person. Not a disaster, but definitely not good. The old me would have been mortified, obsessing over it all day. My heart started pounding. I named it, I am feeling panicked and embarrassed. Then, a breath. Then I asked the question, what can I learn from this? And for the first time, the answer was clear. I can learn to slow down and double-check the to field before I hit send. It was simple. It was practical. And accepting that lesson let me move on. I apologized, I fixed it, and I got back to work. The emotional hangover that used to last for hours. It was gone in 15 minutes. That was a game changer. And by the way, if you're finding this journey interesting, and you're thinking about your own challenges, maybe think about subscribing. I share a lot about building these kinds of habits for a stronger mind. By week 3, the habits started to feel less like chores and more like tools. The phone alarms were gone. I just naturally take a few deep breaths before a big meeting. The emotional labeling was like this quiet, internal check-in that kept me grounded. The real test came on day 20. A project I'd been leading for a month got shelved. Just like that. A month of my team's work, gone. The old me would have taken that as a personal failure. A disaster. When I got the news, I felt my whole body tense up. I went for a walk. I just let the feelings come and I named them. I am feeling disappointed. I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling worried about my team. I didn't fight them. I just let them be. And then came the reframe. What can we learn from this? I got my team together, and instead of mourning the project, we looked for the lessons. We learned that we needed to communicate better with leadership. We learned a bunch of new skills we could use on the next thing. We learned that this team sticks together under pressure. By reframing it, we turned what felt like a failure into this powerful, team-building moment. It was the exact opposite of falling apart. We were building resilience, together. In that final week, the biggest change wasn't in the big moments. It was in the quiet. The constant, low-level buzz of anxiety that had been the soundtrack to my life for years, it was just gone. I was more present in conversations because my mind wasn't off worrying somewhere else. I was sleeping better because I wasn't carrying the day's stress to bed with me. Good sleep, good food, exercise. We know these things help us handle stress, and these habits were finally creating the mental space for them to actually work. On day 28, I got another one of those emails. Challenging feedback. I read it, and I felt nothing. Not empty. Just neutral. No stomach drop, no emotional spike. I just read the words, labeled a passing feeling of, oh, that's interesting, and my brain immediately went to, okay, what can I learn from this? The feedback was just data. It wasn't a verdict on my worth anymore. And in that moment, I realized the person I was 30 days ago was truly gone. So, after 30 days, what's really different? The biggest change is the voice in my head. That harsh inner critic has been replaced by this calmer, more curious voice. Instead of, you idiot, you messed up, it's now, that didn't go as planned. What's the lesson here? My whole emotional world has shifted from being anxious and reactive to calm and centered. I don't live in fear of what might go wrong anymore. I have this quiet confidence that whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it. Resilience isn't about not feeling stress, it's about how fast you get back up. Before, a setback would knock me out for a whole day. Now, it's a matter of minutes. That's the most powerful change of all. Life still has its problems, but my ability to handle them has grown so much. This experiment has completely changed my relationship with stress and failure. It proved to me that resilience isn't some gift you're born with. It's a muscle, and you can build it. And that's my story. But I'd love to hear yours. After hearing all this, what's one small habit you're curious to try? Let me know in the comments. I read all of them, and I really want to know what you're working on. So, will I keep these habits? Absolutely. This isn't an experiment anymore. It's just how I live. If you feel like the old me, like you fall apart at the first sign of trouble, I really hope this gives you some hope. You are not broken. You just haven't been given the right tools yet. Start small. Pick one thing. Try it for a week. The journey to resilience starts with a single breath. Thank you so much for watching. If you got something out of this, maybe give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more on building a stronger mind. I'll see you in the next one.